Okay, so let's talk about standard form. This is the third form that you're required to put into your line project, and honestly, it's one of the easier ones. We're going to start with a graph, just like you're starting with your line project. So it says use the graph flow to fill in the box on the right. They're asking for m, b, and then the equation in slope-intercept form. So let's start with m, the slope. Okay, I need to find two perfect points. I see one there, I see one there. Okay, so I'm going to rise. Notice these are counting by 2, so 2, 4, 6, 8. And my run is positive 4. Ooh, almost put a 2. So 8 over 4 gives me a slope of 2. Okay, so then my b, that's my y-intercept. I see right here that it crosses at negative 6. So 0, negative 6 will be my y-intercept. So to put it in slope-intercept form, super easy. I just plug those two things in. 2x minus 6. Okay. So now it says, just a little side note, this is just kind of a throwback to last unit. Describe this graph in comparison to the linear parent function. Well, the linear parent function is y equals x, right? That's the equation that we know. Well, we have a couple numbers that have been added onto this. We have squeezed in a 2 right here and a minus 6. So we have to think about what those two things do. The 2 means that it's 2 times steeper in terms of the slope. The slope of the parent function is 1, right? There's an imaginary 1 here whenever it's just y equals x. Then the negative 6, that tells us that it's been shifted down 6 units. Okay? Again, that's just a total random side note. It just had been a while since we talked about it. So I have this equation y equals 2x minus 6. Let's talk about how we can turn that into standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Okay, very simple. It's just a form that our equations take. So again, our equation from before, I already forgot it, y equals 2x minus 6. If I want to convert that to standard form, that means I need to have the x first and whatever coefficient is with it, right? That's shown right there. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So negative 2x plus y equals negative 6. That is almost perfect. It looks very similar to what is written above in that box. However, there are a few rules for standard form that we need to add to this. Okay? A right here, the coefficient with x, cannot be negative. Okay? So right off the bat, we look down at our example right here, and we've already broken one rule, right? There's one more set of rules. A, B, and C cannot be fractions or decimals. They have to be whole numbers or integers. Okay? Now notice that I did not say anything about B and C being negative. Those are allowed to be negative. It's just A. It's just that leading coefficient. So looking at negative 2x plus y equals negative 6, what can I do to prevent that x coefficient from being a negative? I can actually just take this whole thing and multiply it by a negative 1. That means literally every single term is going to lose its negative. So this becomes positive 2x, negative y, and positive 6. Okay? So I can now put that in the blank. That is standard form. 2x minus y equals 6. That's the standard form. We have ax plus by equals c. In this case, the a is 2, the b is negative 1, and the c is 6. Okay? I have not broken any of the rules. Nothing's a fraction or a decimal. And the a is not negative. B is, but that's okay. Alrighty? So let's just practice. Number 1, change it to standard form. I'm going to start by subtracting 3x from both sides. So I've got negative 3x plus y equals negative 8. Almost perfect, except that I can't have a negative for my a coefficient. So I'm going to take this whole thing, multiply it by negative 1. So I get 3x minus y equals positive 8. Okay, let's keep on moving. Let's see, I'm going to make this smaller. A little bit easier to write. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to subtract 1/4 x from both sides. So I've got negative 1/4 x plus y equals 2. I'm breaking two rules here because I have a negative and I have a fraction. So when I go to multiply this by a negative to get rid of it, I also want to multiply by something else to get rid of the 1/4. We've kind of already done this before when we cleared the fraction earlier in the year. But we're going to multiply by a negative 4. I'm going to use the denominator. Okay, I do have to distribute that to everybody, not just that first thing. So I'm going to get positive x minus 4y equals negative 8. Okay? Look at the next one. The next one actually isn't even in slope-intercept form. It's in some weird form that doesn't have a name. But that just makes it that much easier to change it to standard. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So 2x plus 4y equals negative 8. Nothing's breaking a rule, so I'm actually done at that point. Okay? Feel free to pause and work ahead of me if you want to and come back and check. But I'm going to keep on trucking. So number 4, again, I have to have the x first. So I'm going to subtract 0.5x. So negative 0.5x plus y equals negative 4. And multiply both sides by a negative 1, but I can't have a decimal. So instead of just doing a negative 1, I'm going to multiply by a negative 2, because that's what will turn that 0.5 into a whole number. I knew that because 0.5 is 1/2 as a fraction, and the denominator of 1/2 is a 2. So this becomes positive x minus 2y equals positive 8. Okay, next problem, lots of fractions here. I'm going to add a 4th x to both sides. Good thing is that I'm adding, I don't have to worry about a negative this time. But, oh, there's the bell. I have 2 fractions I have to take care of, right? So we're just multiplying by a 2, a denominator here. Would that work if I use this 2? It would not, right? I have to use the 4 to clear both of those fractions. So x plus 4y equals 2. Okay? One more problem that doesn't ask for standard form, it actually gives you standard form, wants you to work backwards. Says find the slope and y-intercept. We already knew this, but we can't find the slope and y-intercept unless it's written in slope-intercept form, and this is not. So don't forget that when you're given standard form, you always want to take it back to slope-intercept in order to find the slope and the intercept, right? So here, I'm going to divide by negative 5, run it into a little bar here. So y equals positive 6/5 x plus 12. So my slope would be 6/5, and my y-intercept would be 12. Okay? So what does this mean for your project, right? Standard form is just another form of an equation. You now know 3 different forms: slope-intercept, point slope, and now standard. If we look at your work page, right, here's a page that I did for my project, which is a jack-o'-lantern, okay? I've already set up my equation to have, or set up my Desmos, excuse me, to have all the slope-intercept already in there and all the Hoy and bucks. But I don't have, as you can see over here, looking at my list, I do not have 3 forms for each equation, right? So, going back here, what I want to do is I want to take my work page and use these equations to fill in the gaps in Desmos, okay? And I'll kind of walk you through this line by line. I'm not going to do all of my 35 lines with you for my jack-o'-lantern, but I'll just do these few to kind of show you. Before I switch into Desmos, I want to point out a few things. Notice, let's see if I can get a little highlighter tool here. How do I do that? I should probably know that, huh? There we go. Okay. Notice right here, okay, for the one that's bucks, all I have is the word bucks right here and a point, and then x equals 9. I don't have anything else written in that line. Same with the Hoy down here, okay? I have the word Hoy, a point, and then y equals 6. You don't need anything extra for Hoys and buckses, okay? Really keep it simple. The other ones, though, kind of vary, right? Let's switch colors here. Up here, my given, ooh, bad choice. Let's see if it works. That's a little better. I've been given a slope and a point, so that's, I don't have the y-intercept, so I had to start with slope and a point. Down here, though, I was given the y-intercept, so I have the slope and a y-intercept. It just depends on the problem. Anytime, though, that you're given a point, your work is going to be a lot more involved, like right here, okay, because I didn't have the y-intercept. It was something weird like negative 29 halves. So just one more reminder about what your work page is supposed to look like. This is what I expect to see whenever I get your work from you. Before I switch to Desmos, take a good look at this and think about how I would change each of these into standard form. I'm going to pause. It's going to be like a millisecond for you, and switch back to my computer so I can show you some Desmos things. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this aligns with my jack-o'-lantern that I created because it was Halloween yesterday. And I was showing you lines 11 through 15. So here are lines 11 through 15 in my project, okay? Line 11 is this dark green line down here, and this is the one that's 3/2 and blah, 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 right? Well, I have mentioned you have to have all three forms in Desmos, right? Well, you want to push this little plus sign, which I realize you might not be able to see because of how this is cut off, but you push the plus sign and you want to add in an expression, okay? If you're clicked on the line, it will add in that expression directly underneath it. So I want to have slope-intercept, which I've got, y = mx + b, point slope, and standard. Well, standard we just find by using all the exact same processes we just did before. Okay, so I'm going to move this 3/2 over, I'm going to get rid of my fractions by multiplying, and I'm going to get 3x minus 2y equals 29, hopefully. And I can tell that it's right because it lines up perfectly with the line that was there. Okay, it was missing, now it's there. You're still going to use the exact same domain and range. Again, if you're using a PC, you can just copy and paste it. I don't know if you can do that on an iPad or not. You'll have to let me know when I get back on Wednesday if you can like hover and copy and paste or not. But it has the exact same domain and range. So again, it's missing, it's green, I put it back on, it's purple. Okay. So that's standard form. Now I have point slope. I have slope intercept and I have standard. I need to add point slope. So again, I'm going to add another item, I'm going to add an expression, and I need to add point slope. Well, if I go back to my work page, I had to use point slope to get there. So it's this top part of my line 11 work box, right? Y + 1 = 3/2 x minus 9. That's actually just going to go in here. Y + 1, where am I? Equals 3/2 x, nope, 3/2 x minus 9. And I can tell, again, that it's lining up right here on this point. Okay, then again, I do the same domain, and I should be good. Okay, so again, I can hide it. It's not there. It's back. So I have my three forms. Okay, but let's talk about a vux. So line 12 here is a vux. It's this little piece right here. For Hoy and vux, standard form, point slope form, slope intercept form, they don't really apply. I would be writing literally this, this, this. Well, that's a waste of our time. I don't need you to write the same thing 3 times. So I really, for Hoy and vux, just need it 1 time. You don't have to do it 3 times. However, as I'm scrolling through your project like this, if I notice that you have one liner and it's not Hoy or vux, then you're going to lose points. You can only do that if it's a Hoy or vux. Okay, so line 12, we're good. I'm just going to leave it like that. Line 13, though, we can tell, looking over here as well as looking at our equation, that it's not a Hoy or vux, so I need more to it. Okay, so I'm going to add an expression. I need my standard form, so I'm just going to add that 2x over. Okay, and it appeared right on top of the line. That's what I wanted. It's gone. It's there. Same exact domain and range. So we're good with standard form. I need point slope. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to my work page. This is line 13, so it's this right here. It's this exact same thing I just used to find the slope intercept. So y minus 2 equals -2 x minus 9. So I'm going to go put that in. Y minus 2 equals -2 x minus 9. Oops. There we go. Same domain and range. Okay. 14, that's a Hoy. I don't need to do 3 forms, so I'm good there. But line 15, if I go back and look at my work page, this was one of the ones that actually intersected the y-axis, so I didn't have to use point slope to get there, right? When that happens, you still need to use point slope, in your graph. So you're just going to have to kind of make them up, right? So let's see, let's add an expression here. Okay, well, first of all, let's just do standard, because that's a given. We have to have standard in there. So that is x minus 2y equals -8. Yep, we're good there. Same domain and range. Okay, so now, again, even though I already knew the slope intercept and I didn't have to go calculate it from point slope, I can still do point slope. I just didn't really need it to create slope intercept form. So y minus, I need a point. I'm going to use this one right here. That's 2, 5. So y minus 5 equals, my slope is that same 1/2. And then x minus, what was my x? 2. Still is there. Same thing here. Okay. Now I can already see some of you rolling your eyes saying, why do I need that if I didn't need it to find the equation? But this is the best way to check yourself to make sure that all of your lines are right. For example, if you put point slope in there and it shows up in the right place, but your slope intercept is wrong, then you can go back to your point slope and recalculate it to make sure that you're doing it correctly. all three of these are so connected that if one of them pops up right, you can kind of work through it to get to the equation you need. But yeah, so I just wanted to show y'all, when you have a complete Desmos project, it should look like this quick little scan that I'm doing right here. I should see the word line with the number, 3 forms, the next line, 3 forms, next line, 3 forms, unless it's Hoyer boxes. Okay, so this is a good version of a finished product as far as this is concerned, and then this is a good version of a finished work page. Okay, I don't even really need your work to convert it to standard form. You can do that on a separate sheet of paper, or you can try to fit it in here. It doesn't matter to me, whichever you would like to do. The only thing I have not brought up as far as your project is concerned is the shading and the circles, okay? And the place you're going to find that is in Schoology. If we go into our course, you go into Unit 5, Line Project Documents or Instructions. Again, there's lots of good videos in here. Adding in standard form is what we just went through, right? Step 5 would be adding in extra elements. Here is where we've got the shading and the circles, okay? And there's other types of extra things you can add in, like moving your lines, like the Pikachu I showed you. Feel free to Google anything you want, but this is just 2 that I know I feel confident we can all handle and put in without a problem. So feel free to watch those videos, add those in. And then the last thing is just your poster, putting everything together. Please, please, please make sure you are actually reading through the checklists I've provided, reading through these Schoology documents. It is so sad as a teacher when someone turns in a project and they get a bad grade and they're like, why did I get a bad grade? When I've already showed you exactly what I want this project to look like when you turn it in. So I think that's it. I'm sure I'm going to have more to say later. But for now, I think that's a good stopping place. I will say on Thursday, I'm going to be taking just a real quick scaffolding grade of just me checking off, do I feel like you're in a good place on your project? So if you're somebody who feels like you've been kind of falling behind, then you definitely want some work to do overnight when you go home. Because Thursday, I'm expecting to see people have equations on their equation sheet, things typed into Desmos, their Desmos set up at least. So if you're not at that point by Thursday, then you definitely have some work to do. Alrighty, send me your remind text if you have questions while I'm out. Hopefully I have hit everything. Miss y'all.